Okay, you guys, this one was weird. I'm sitting up in bed. I have a kitty cat, and I was just facing. I was just face. He's just, don't touch me, Dad. I'm sleeping. I just finished I Am the Doorway, which I looked it up. Won the Philip K. Dick Award, which is an award for science fiction. Actually, I was in a short film that was in the Philip K. Dick Film Festival about, I don't know, what, 7 years ago? So, a lot of fun, a lot of tie-ins. I also found out there was a short film made of this, and I want to find out if I can see it. So it's a short story called "I Am the Doorway," science fiction. It's about this guy Artie who was an astronaut. He there was deep space missions. This book comes out in 1978, the anthology, and I think that this one was published originally in the early 70s. I forget the date offhand. I looked it up on the phone that I'm using to record, so I don't have it preset to tell you. I'm sorry. But Artie had been in space on a deep space mission, which is not like Star Trek deep space. We're talking to the end of the solar system, basically. This was the first trip to Venus, which I guess isn't even really deep space. It's only one planet away, right? Stephen King, why are you calling one planet away deep space? Get out of here. The whole idea is that probably while he was in space, he caught some sort of virus or some sort of. You coming in for some cuddles? You coming in for some cuddles? Am I not paying attention to you? I'm sorry. Now I have a cat. So they being Artie and another astronaut named Corey were in space together, deep space mission, after King has kind of over a paragraph prophesied where, the space exploration is going to go after 1968 and 69, I think, is when he first cites, and then the moon landing he talks about, and he charts a mission to Mars, and things that haven't happened even today, like astronauts haven't landed on Mars. Premise of this story is they're out in space. He comes back. Corey's dead because of a tragic accident that happened when they were landing. And now suddenly it's a few years later. I think like 5, 7. Some numbers are flown around that I'm mixing up in my head, and it ends saying 7 years after the events that take place. So we're now reading it, 14 years, I guess, after it all started. But it's very the cockroach, right? Kafka, the idea of somebody waking up and being something different. No, it's a little more gradual than that. His fingertips start itching, right? And he starts getting these little rashes on on both pads between his joints. And he describes as being able to see from his fingers, and he keeps them bandaged because he is a doorway for whatever he picked up in space, and it wants to do some serious shit. That's all I'm going to tell you. Anything else would be a spoiler. My take on the novel as somebody who's reading it, I wonder where King was coming from. Obviously, space exploration and the idea of bringing something back is probably at the forefront of inspiration. We're talking, early 70s when this was written. We just landed on the moon. So, yeah, we have the idea of space exploration, what might be out there that we're not finding yet, what might be out there that we can't see that we're bringing back with us. There's a tie in to his aunt who had leprosy, and he himself is in a wheelchair after this accident landing. So then is it the feeling? Is there a broader theme of how we treat and view people who are ill or have some sort of handicap in our society? How we make them feel about themselves, ostracized, or is it all coming from within? Is it somebody suffering from paranoia? There was one part where I thought it was a little telltale heart, but I thought that was actually a little too extreme to say to you guys, and here I am saying it, because it's telltale heart in the way the cataracts bother him, right? Not in the way he buries the guy and all the guilt that's really what the story's really about. God, I love Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to question, and I'm not sure if the theme is readily apparent. My initial reaction to this is that was kind of a weird, up, fun story. And I think there's more to it, but I don't know if when I sit on it for a little while, things are going to mesh and there's really going to be something more to it, or if it's all gonna get kind of muddied and watered down and not really leave me with anything. Because I'm gonna be honest, I read this 5 years ago, this book. I didn't remember this story. When I started reading it, I immediately remembered. I was about a page in. I was like, oh, this is the guy with the in his fingers. But I couldn't have told you what it was from the title. So we'll see if it sits with me this time. I'm going to see if I can find the short film and maybe we can do an adaptation correlation on it. It seems that there's a lot of short films, if not features, from these night shift stories. So I'm hoping I can find some of them for you guys. All right. So excited. I'm done with this video. I'm just rambling now. Like, share, subscribe, all those things. See you guys soon with the next story, which is going to be The Mangler, which I think is our next full feature-length adaptation. And it's one that I didn't watch the last time because I actually read that it was in no way like the story, that it was, you know, that and Lawnmower Man are apparently adaptations in name only kind of things. So I didn't watch it last time. So this is we're getting on a few things. I didn't watch Graveyard Shift last time, and I've never seen The Mangler or Lawnmower Man. So there's going to be a lot of new stuff that I didn't do in my previous readathon as I try to chronicle everything for you guys, and I am so fucking excited to talk about all this with you. Leave me some comments down below about your thoughts. See you guys soon.
So welcome back to my lovely little section of the Bronx. I was going to try to do this video with the actual lapel mic at home because I know that you don't get as good sound and there's traffic going by with these earbuds. But someone, who shall remain nameless, and you know who you are, kept me on a video chat until I had to leave the house. But I'm here today to talk to you about The Mangler, the fifth story in Night Shift by Stephen King. So King has two things that he says. I'm going to try to find clips of these, and he's said them in multiple interviews that I've watched. A, write what you are afraid of. He writes the things that scare him and tries to exercise those demons or those fears, if you will. God, it's hot. It's like 91 degrees here in New York. And then he says he always goes for terror, the psychological, suspenseful terror. And if you can't get terror, then go for horror. And if you can't get horror, then go for the gross out. And that's what The Mangler is. Oh my God. So I'm going to discuss plot, and I know that we have an adaptation with, what's his name, who played Robert Englund, who played Freddy Krueger, that I actually have never seen, along with Graveyard Shift. The basic premise is that detective or a police officer Hunter, he says he's in law enforcement. I get the feeling that he's a detective, but he might just be a regular cop. Responds to the scene of an accident at a laundry where King himself used to work. And I meant to look this up before I did the video. Blue Ribbon Laundry is the name of it, and I think that's actually the name of the laundry that's being torn down in Roadwork, in the third Richard Bachman book. Hold on, I'm crossing the street. So yeah, knowing that there's a Stephen King kind of extended universe, I'm wondering if Blue Ribbon is just a name he used again, or if it's meant to be the same laundry, because that would be really cool. I'm gonna look that up when I get to Roadwork if I remember. You guys have to help me remember, okay? So the Blue Ribbon Laundry and the Mangler, which is a speed ironer, you know those things that you've seen them in movies, if not in real life. It's described as being 30 feet long by 6 feet wide, with 8 round tumblers that, you know, tons and tons of it, with 300 pounds per square foot of pressure and 300 degrees of steam are exerted onto sheets that run through it, and then it's automatically folded at the end. Well, there's a terrible accident at the very beginning of this that no one can seem to face. And what I think is really wonderful is King warns us. He says, you thought what's been in this book before is gross. Where do you see this? He actually comments, and I'll put the quote up, and I'll actually find it and record it, but he says something along the lines, near the beginning of human nature is to go to the scene of the accident. Why was everyone in the office? This must have been really bad. And the guy just shows him, you know, with, again, first like 2 pages, so no spoilers. says, I can't look again. And what ends up happening is this woman was killed. She went through the Mangler, and the Mangler actually folded her like a sheet. So it's the gross out. And then we learn the history about other accidents that have happened with this Mangler. The question is it possessed? He went the easy route. He decided, I want to use this type of demon and this type of lore. And then suddenly out of nowhere, a guy we meet is an English teacher. So he's well read, but that means he knows everything about the occult, and he knows about satanic demons, and he knows about voodoo demons, and he knows about ball demons, and all these different things. So this is not, I think, the most well-written in terms of plotting, and I know King hates plotting, but you can tell that he didn't put a lot of thought into it, or he tried to condense it into something a little too tight. So here's my thing about the Mangler. It's a fantastic story. Be prepared to be grossed out. You know the King has a wonderful way with language and with imagery, so be prepared for that. Settled in. This is like going to a slasher film, like Friday the 13th, how those fans count the kills. They're there for the kills, not the story. That's what the Mangler is. I think you'll enjoy it if you enjoy gross outs, and we'll discuss this much more when I get into the adaptation correlation. See you guys later. Hey everyone, I am coming to you from Tribeca, New York City, a couple blocks north of the World Trade Center, and the beautiful river with New Jersey that way. The river is beautiful, not New Jersey, although that skyline's pretty. So yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys about the next story in Night Shift, which is called The Boogeyman. When I read this book last, about what was I think 5 years ago, I didn't remember the story. The minute I started reading it, I was like, oh, I remember this. But I think it's going to resonate a little more with me now than it did then. Now that I'm actually stopping to like process my thoughts and try to present them to you guys. Because what I realized, oh, my shot's terrible. Let's try this way. That's whatever. Oh, maybe. So here's what's interesting. The premise of this is a man walks into a psychiatrist's office. It starts with him on the psychiatrist's couch, saying, look, I don't want to have future visits. I just want to lay this out. I want to say it out loud and get out of here. And then he proceeds to say, I killed my 3 kids. No spoilers, first 2 pages. But how that happens is what he has to tell the psychiatrist. And the story that you're in for, it sounds far-fetched, it sounds kind of hokey. But if you know King himself and King's autobiography, he makes no attempt to hide the fact that he puts a lot of himself into his work, into his characters. I talked about that a lot with Jack Torrance in The Shining. We just missed it with the Mangler, his history working in a laundry. So if you read this, you're going to see that this man had his first job with his wife while they were in college, and it made him drop out, and they got married. It's just similar to what happened with King and his first wife and their his first child and his wife, Tabitha, although he didn't drop out of college. And then the timing of when the children are born is very similar to his own kids. And what's very interesting is you realize that what lies underneath all of this entire story, this I killed my children because of the Boogeyman and no one believes me and I can't tell anyone. It would be easier if I could, I think he says, because then if we're in jail, we're all safe. Whereas kids will be safe. Oh my God, King writes about his fears, right? He takes the things that he's afraid of and he exercises them on the page. So in doing that, you have to realize that he's facing his fears of being a parent, right? Do you spoil the child and make sure they're happy, or do you have a firm hand and make sure that they can survive on their own in life? When do you say yes to a nightlight at what age, right? So that's the power behind the Boogeyman. And I think that while it's a good, fun story, if you don't know the author's history, when you do, it means so much more. So I'm going to say that as a story, just on its own, on the surface, it's all right. It's fun. It's cute. There's a twist at the end that makes you go, huh, didn't expect that. But at the same time, when you know the story,
behind it, the story. VH1 behind the music. Story behind the story with David Farrington. It's wow. It just means I was about to say it might be my favorite one in the book so far, but I don't know. I really don't know. Night Surf got me. Yeah, I'll reserve judgment on that till my final video of Night Shift. Night Surf? No. Night Surf is a short story on Night Shift. The book! I keep looking over here at my face to make sure I'm in frame, because I'm not when the camera's over here, so I look cross-eyed for the whole thing.